So good afternoon, everyone. I just want to thank you all for joining us for this Meet the Dean session. I do want to start everything by letting those of you that are here and those that will be joining in and watching on the YouTube channel a little bit later on that Dr. Stratton, our College of Business Dean, he had something come up and won't be able to attend this, but he does send his best. But we do have Dr. Brian Newsome, who is the new dean of our honors college, and we're really excited to get to learn more about him and his journey to Georgia College. I know I am. Always love meeting new faces and getting to know a little bit more about them and what special things they have planned for us. Without further ado, Dr. Newsome, I'll give the floor to you. Maybe can you just tell us a little bit about your journey to Georgia College and what made you decide that GC was the place for you?
Sure. Thanks, Trey. And thank you again for setting up this event today and for everything that you have done for honors and for all of the other facets of the institution for Alumni Week. I know it's been a lot of hard work and I'm really grateful. So to tell you all a little bit about myself, I grew up not too far away from here in Augusta, Georgia. I did my undergraduate work at what was then called Augusta College, now Augusta University, where I studied history and international relations. I then did my graduate work at the University of South Carolina in Columbia, where I specialized in modern European history, particularly French history. I also have teaching fields in Middle Eastern and North African history. I was fortunate as a graduate student to earn a Fulbright grant that allowed me to do my dissertation research in France for a full 9 months without having to live like a pauper the whole time. It was really wonderful. And I've had the opportunity since as a faculty member over the years to spend time studying in parts of both North Africa and the Middle East, particularly in Morocco and Oman and Egypt. So I am a big proponent of study abroad. It's a life-changing, transformative experience and something that I really encourage all students and certainly our honor students to participate in. After graduate school, my first tenure track appointment was at Alfred University in Southwestern New York, perhaps most well known for its School of Art and Design and Ceramic Engineering and Glass Science programs. I love my students at Alfred. I loved my colleagues. Unfortunately, the institution was not in the best financial position, and driving through the ice and the snow with a young family wore me down after a while. And so I moved in 2009 to Elizabethtown College in Lancaster County, South Central Pennsylvania. Much in the news lately, given the crucial position of Pennsylvania in the voting that was underway yesterday and the counting that remains going on today. And I went there as a faculty member to Elizabethtown College, really with no aspirations to go into administration. And then an assistant dean position came along that fit some skills that I had built up over the years through my teaching as well as through my committee service. And I thought it would offer an opportunity to be of service to lots of students all in one fell swoop, as well as to faculty colleagues to make a positive difference in their lives and their careers. And so I threw my hat into the ring. I was fortunate to get the position, and it did afford those opportunities. That assistant dean position then led to a dean position at Elizabethtown, which included a lot of portfolios. They varied over the years. The ultimate configuration included heading the first year experience program, co-directing the sophomore year experience program alongside colleagues in student life, chairing the academic standing committee, serving as the administrative liaison for the college's curriculum committees, co-chairing the Middle States Reaccreditation Committee. That was a lot of fun. And leading the honors program. Of all of those many things, honors gave me by far the most joy. So I jumped at the chance to apply for the position here at Georgia College to help transform the already outstanding honors program into an honors college and to get closer to both sides of the family, mine in Georgia and my spouse Susan's up in East Tennessee. So it's been a real honor and pleasure to be here. To tell you a little bit about my philosophy of honors education, honors isn't about doing more necessarily, piling on work for the sake of piling on work. Rather, it's about doing things differently, tackling tough questions, engaging students with challenging material, and doing it as part of a special community of peers and faculty members. In my honors course on World War II, for example, which I long taught as a first-year seminar at Elizabethtown, and which I hope to transform into a GC1Y here at Georgia College and teach in the fall, the class grappled with Auschwitz survivor Primo Levi's analysis of instances of victim-on-victim violence in camps like Auschwitz-Birkenau. We wrestled with historian Bob Paxton's concept of functional collaboration in occupied France, and a host of similarly probing topics. Honors really fosters a dynamic community of learners. I found a deep appreciation for that type of honors community here at Georgia College. It's one of the things that appealed to me when I came to interview. And so I certainly want to recognize the work of the previous honors directors, Dr. John Sahlstrom, Dr. Doris Moody, and especially Dr. Steve Elliott Gower. They established a firm basis on which to build, and Dr. Gower has given generously of his time to facilitate the transition ever since I accepted the position last spring. We'll be honoring all three of those individuals on Thursday night, as many of you are already aware, with a Zoom-based event to commemorate the 50th anniversary of honors at Georgia College and to celebrate the opening of the new Honors College. We will premiere a film featuring a ribbon cutting ceremony, comments by President Norman and Provost Spiru, and a history of the honors program. We will then shift to a director's panel featuring Dr. Sahlstrom, Moody, and Gower, and we will wrap up with a video tour of our new home, the Humber White House. Trey and I were chatting before we got going today. I was saying we already have more than 100 folks who have registered for the event. If you haven't already registered for it, then I would encourage you to do so. I'm really looking forward to it and working closely with Drs. Sahlstrom, Moody, and Gower getting ready for the director's panel. They're really very excited about it, and I think it's going to be a special occasion. Moving to an honors college will position Georgia College to compete in an ever tighter marketplace for honors students in the state, the region, the nation, and even the world. What does it mean to go from a program to a college, you might ask? Structurally, honors has been elevated as a peer of the other colleges, which gives honors a higher profile, both within and beyond the institution. Thanks to Dr. Ken Saladin's generosity, we have also secured a new name, the John E. Sahlstrom Honors College, and new resources, which will allow us to enrich honors education in lots of ways. I have many ideas, and I've been conducting listening sessions with students, alums, and stakeholders across campus to facilitate discernment of strategic priorities. On the input side, one of the central things that I would like to do is to enhance diverse recruiting. In fact, I've already worked with colleagues in admissions and with members of the Honors Admissions Committee and the Honors Faculty Council to develop a more transparent, holistic admissions pathway for the Honors College, one that affords opportunities beyond standardized test scores to demonstrate areas of strength through the essays that the students submit. And so I'm excited to see those applications, which have already begun trickling in. Longer term, I would like to conduct systematic outreach to honors programs at the state's two-year institutions to position our honors college as a destination of choice for honors transfer students who are looking to finish up their last 2 years at another institution. I think we can really become the place where those honor students want to go because we have so many special things to offer here. Once students are here at Georgia College, I would like to make retention and completion rates even stronger on the curricular side by enhancing cohort bonds with some first-year team building programs at the beginning of the first semester. I've already been in touch with Liz Spielman in the Outdoor Center, and actually we've scheduled that for this coming fall. And that's very intentional because it really links the co-curricular aspects of honors with the curricular aspects of honors. The better students get to know each other as well as their faculty members through those types of programs, the more quickly they can arrive at a point of comfort in their honors classes where they can so easily have those dynamic conversations, deal with controversial topics, respect each other's opinions, agree to disagree, and all the rest. On the curricular side, we are already offering a wider array of honors courses each semester. For the spring semester, we have in fact doubled the number of offerings that have typically been there in the past and targeted strategic areas that the students need. I'm especially grateful to Registrar Kay Anderson and to the leaders of the advising office, Dr. Michelle Johnson and Nikki Simpson, for collaborating with me to identify the areas of the core curriculum that were most needed by honor students. And then we worked with deans and department chairs and faculty members to secure those offerings. And some of them are new offerings we've never had for honors before, like an honors statistics class, for example, which the students were really excited for and which filled up almost immediately. It's completely full. So Javessa is going to have his work cut out for him. I'm also working with Dr. Murphy in the World Languages Department and her faculty. They're considering offering some introductory honors language courses starting next fall. For fall 2021, thanks to the help of not only Michelle Johnson and Nikki Simpson, but also Aaron Weston, all incoming honor students are going to be grouped in honors GC Reads groups, as well as honors first year academic seminars, unless they're in a major with a major-based FYAS. I'm also aiming to have all honor students in honors GC 1Ys with the one that I intend to teach as part of that. So that will make for a really powerful combination if you have honor students together in GC Reads groups, FYAS, GC 1Y. They're engaging in the team building exercises right off the bat. They're also living together in honors housing in Bell Hall right on front campus. Those team building exercises are going to take place out on the lawn in front of Bell Hall. And so it's just a whole combination of intentional programs that will help them build community, feel at home here at Georgia College, within Georgia College, quickly find a home within the Honors College, and I think long run help to boost our retention and completion rates by getting them well grounded from day one. We will be enhancing financial support for transformative experiences through the Honors College, not just research as in the past, but also internships, community-based learning, and study abroad. I would also like to create a type of alumni network to facilitate mentoring. I would really love for honors alums to have an opportunity to remain involved in honors education here at Georgia College through a mentoring network. And of course, the Humber White House, where I'm sitting at the moment, is serving as the vibrant hub of all of those curricular and co-curricular opportunities. And we have a number of things that are on the horizon. I'm in conversation with Mark Duclos' team, Kobe Dixon, about obtaining swipe card access for the building to give students after hours access. We just acquired a set of laptops that students can use to check out for use in our study rooms and in our seminar room if they don't have devices of their own. And that's great for students who don't have the resources to afford those. They don't have access to them through the Honors College. If they have online classes, this is a great place in our study rooms here to come and do the Zoom or just to crank out some work. Or hang out in the lounge. We have a really awesome lounge. Long term, when we get past COVID, I want for us to have a coffee bar in there. We have the seminar room off the back of the house where in the future, again, in a non-COVID world, we will have our faculty presentation, book, and film discussion series, as well as some of our smaller honors courses. So those are some of the main things that are in the works. I know I've talked for a little while. I don't want to take up all the conversation, but I'm certainly excited about everything that we've managed to accomplish in just a few short months and look ahead eagerly to the future. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have or to get additional feedback based on your experience for those of you who are honors alums.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Dr. Newsome. And at this time, I know we have some questions of our own, but if any of our guests have any questions for Dr. Newsome, whether that be from the honor side, just kind of wanting to ask questions about some of his ideas and what he hopes to implement, or even if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about Dr. Newsome himself, just feel free.
I'm a honors program alum, and I was just curious, when I was a student, they had Eta Sigma Alpha, the honor society. Is that something that's still in existence and the honor students still take part in?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yes, Eta Sigma Alpha is huge, and I'll say I have been so impressed with everything that they do. We had an honor student association at Elizabethtown, and it was great. But Eta Sigma Alpha really runs a lot of programming. They have a fine tradition of leadership and mentoring the next generation of leaders, taking things on. It's just been really, really refreshing. And they've actually been aiming for this house for a long time, and they have been saving funds to lend assistance. So it was actually Eta Sigma Alpha that purchased the television for the lounge, the kitchen equipment, refrigerator, the microwave, the Keurig that we have, and so that's good evidence of the level of intentionality and planning that has been shaped over years with Eta Sigma Alpha. And in fact, at the event that we're having tomorrow night, one of the folks who is registered for the event, I'm sure he'll be there. He submitted an alumni reflection video, is Dr. Roger Best, who serves as the president of the University of Central Missouri. And it was all the way back in the 1980s when he was president of the Honors Student Association that the name was changed to Eta Sigma Alpha. That was a brainchild of his group of Eta Sig leaders working hand in glove with Dr. Sahlstrom. He submitted an alumni reflection video for us. We've posted it on our Facebook pages. It's also on the Honors website. We have a 50th anniversary tab there with all of the reflection videos that folks have submitted thus far. And his is the first one we posted. He had his university communications team film it, so it was highly polished compared to people shooting it through Zoom or on their cell phones. And it's a really powerful reflection. If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to go do so. Did you serve on Eta Sig?
I was a member. I did not serve as leadership.
Okay.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you for that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dr. Newsome, I wanted to ask, just get personal for a second. You say you're from Augusta, so you're a Southern boy. So you know down here in the South, we love our food. So I want to know in the Newsome household, what is the favorite dish that gets made?
Oh, the favorite dish is probably my fried chicken, which is sort of bouncing off of my mother-in-law's recipe with a lot of my own additions to it, a whole blend of spices that she doesn't use. And I'll give away the secret, which is soaking it in salt water overnight, laced with pickle juice. That is the secret part of the recipe. I really do love to cook. In fact, I've been involved already, Dr. McKinnon, in the history department, which is my discipline, where I'm tenured here at Georgia College. He's looped me into conversations about the Global Foodways Certificate program. So as I said earlier, my research specialty, my teaching specialty is French history. I also teach classes on Middle Eastern and North African history. And so my habit for years, anytime that I have taught pretty much any course, I'll do a type of culinary pairing with it to expose students to food traditions of the people, the regions that we're talking about. Usually have students over to the house for a meal and use it not only to share company but also as a teaching opportunity. So if it's my French history class and I'm doing Boeuf Bourguignon or something, then we'll talk about what time you're expected to show up, which is no earlier than half an hour after the appointed time. What you should usually bring with you, how long those evenings last, which is a very long time, what it means to be invited over to somebody's house in France. The French are very, very private, very family focused. And so if they have opened their home to you, you're really being invited into the inner circle in a way. It's not just a common courtesy like it is in many parts of the United States. And so you need to treat it as something special. Proper etiquette. You always pick up your utensils where they lay with your hands. You use your left hand for your fork. You don't do the old American switcheroo. We use that as an opportunity to talk about where those etiquette rules come from. Essentially, members of the aristocracy and upper middle class seeking to distinguish themselves in ever finer ways from people they regarded as their social inferiors who were creeping uncomfortably close to them. When I teach my North African class, I make a Moroccan lamb tagine usually, and we take our coffee tables and cushions from the couches and sort of transform the house into something approaching traditional Moroccan dining out of low tables seated on cushions around common platters. Not that we can do any of that in COVID world, but yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I look forward to having an opportunity to collaborate on those sorts of things here.
Definitely. Well, that's a very interesting hobby. Do you have any other hobbies that you like to partake in?
I do. I like being outside. I'm actually a cyclist, and I ride my bike every day, usually dark 30 in the morning before getting the kids up, and then heading off to work. And I like to take them out for rides on the weekends frequently. I like gardening. I haven't yet established a garden at our new home here, but I had a little garden patch at our house in Pennsylvania that I had going for years. Enjoyed growing my own lettuce and kale and tomatoes and cauliflower and broccoli and stuff like that. Cooking, I said before, I haven't done this next one in years, but I really do enjoy refinishing furniture. The upright piano that we have had actually been discarded by a church in Elizabethtown where we lived before, and it was a turn of the century upright that at some point had been painted over with this awful sort of spackly white paint. But underneath all of that was a lovely mahogany piece of furniture that also plays music. I play a little, and my wife does too. Our oldest son was actually just learning to play at that time, and we needed to acquire a piano for him. So I spent, evenings and weekends for a few months refinishing that piano. And actually, my last major scholarly project, which was a translation and annotated edition of a French novel about the German occupation of northern France during World War I, written by a survivor, Maximus Fondemiche, who emerged as one of the most up-and-coming French novelists of the 1930s, was a similar sort of labor of love, translating that book, doing research in the author's archives, writing the introduction for it, doing the limited annotations for the text to keep it easy and readable. It was, sort of like polishing an old piece of antique furniture that people would set aside and forgotten about, and breathing new life into it. So there are some parallels between the things that I like doing in my spare time and the things that I do for my scholarship.
Awesome. Anybody else got any questions, feedback? You're muted, Bob.
Dr. Newsome, Bob Preston, Michael is my colleague, Michael Watson, and he is delighted to have you here. One question that I would like to ask you is, the topics that you mentioned that your students study, kind of those, the couple that you mentioned in the beginning, how does, help me understand the process by which those topics get selected. Is that do the students have some input in that, or is that kind of you selecting the topic? And if it is you, which is fine, help me understand how you go through the process of selecting such a topic for this student. Just share with me your thinking about how that happens.
Sure. So I think you're referring to the topics that I had referenced in regard to my World War II seminar. Those, really come from the questions that have most engaged the scholarly community over the years, and that have been points of controversy. Historians, and this is often the transition for students from high school, are interested in the why and the how. Those are the burning questions. The what, the when, the where, the so-called facts. Those are data points, essentially, that historians marshal to try to answer these bigger questions of why and how. And so those are the things that I want scholars to engage in. And that, to be honest, when I first started teaching, I shied away from really probing with first-year students because I didn't think they were ready for it. But I've discovered over the years that students are a lot more ready than I think oftentimes we think they are, and honor students in particular. And it's these sorts of questions that really get their juices going. It gets them highly engaged. It's a lot of fun for me because these are the things that I like to think about and I like to investigate. And I usually find that if it's a topic that really, engages me, it'll often engage them as well. And of course, there's a little bit of trial and error in this. You try a topic and see how it flows, see how it resonates. Sometimes certain ones resonate, certain texts resonate better than others, and you continue refining things over the years. You're muted, Bob.
I'm just getting used to this. But thank you for that. The thing that impressed me about those topics is that it didn't seem like there would be a clear-cut answer, and there's so much black and white thinking. It's like training the students in the art of kind of nuanced situations and looking at things from different points of view. And that's what I heard in those topics. And
well, that's exactly it. Getting them to see that, history, like people, aren't written in shades of black and white.
Yeah.
They're written in gray, oftentimes. And in fact, that's exactly the term that Auschwitz survivor Primo Levi uses to describe these instances of victim-on-victim violence. He refers to it as a type of gray zone between the seemingly distinct categories of oppressor and oppressed that evolved in horrible places like Auschwitz, Birkenau. And those instances of victim-on-victim violence most often were things that in an ordinary world would seem rather petty. Instances of petty theft, stealing spoons, bowls, shoes, food, articles of clothing, especially shoes, but which in the environment of Auschwitz could and did make the difference between life and death for people who were the victims of those thefts. So if you didn't have a spoon in a bowl, the Nazis wouldn't let you get in the soup line. If you didn't have shoes and it was the winter and you developed frostbite and didn't recover quickly, the Nazis would move you from the work camp part of Auschwitz to the gas chamber and the crematorium. So Levy asked the very probing question, where in that environment does the line lie between oppressor and oppressed?
Yeah.
That's a tough question.
Interesting. Very interesting.
It doesn't have an easy answer. And you have to be very careful and caution students to be very careful in dealing with it, not to somehow conflate actions taken by people who were simply trying to survive Nazi oppression with the murderous practices and policies of the Nazis themselves, but rather to recognize that the Nazis intentionally created an environment that was designed to pit victims against each other, to make it easier to control them. Yeah. And that all too often it did. It achieved those objectives. So students in my class wrestle with that by reading Levy's short memoir, Survival in Auschwitz, a couple of chapters out of a book by historian Chris Browning on Nazi policy. And then we utilize resources available through the Holocaust Museum in DC as well. When I taught at E-Town, we were just 2.5 hours from DC, so I would take them down there. We'd do a field trip. I have to decide how I'm going to emulate that part of the class here. Probably through some online research. The Holocaust Museum has a really great website with a lot of great articles written by scholars, as well as documentary resources that deal with that topic and others that are related to it. Then the students pull it all together in a short essay, and more importantly, we spend a number of days in class unpacking the topic, and it makes for one of those really rich discussions, because there's no easy answer to that question, and that's what I want for them to see.
Thank you.
Yeah. In fact, I was chatting just the other night with one of my former students at Elizabethtown, Matt Smith, who's applying to graduate school. He's working on his senior thesis on an aspect of Middle Eastern history. I'm still helping supervise that project for him this year, and we were catching up, and he said just out of nowhere that a point that I had made to them in first year seminar has stuck with him ever since. That you oftentimes hear people talk about things being inevitable. Sometimes you even see historians who will refer to certain things as being inevitable, like the outbreak of World War I or the outbreak of World War II, or the Treaty of Versailles was so harsh that it inevitably led to the Second World War, which is totally not true. I urge them to discard this concept of inevitability Nothing is inevitable other than that the sun will come up and go down every day. And related natural phenomenon, but people make decisions, and that causes things to happen. Sometimes you can get so wrapped up in the idea of forces, the so-called isms, imperialism, socialism, communism, capitalism, whatever, that you forget about the people who create those things. And history is about people. And I remind them that people in the past are every bit as complicated as people today. Think about yourself. If you want a century from now for somebody to be able to figure out why you've made the choices that you made, what would they need to know about you? Where you were from, what your family background was like, what your education was like, types of job experiences that you had, maybe aspects of your religious background, if that's something that has shaped your life. All of these things that weave in and out of our lives that make us who we are and that lead us to make the decisions that we make. Similar factors shaped people in the past. And we have to try to figure out as much of that as we can with the limited information, the fragments that are at our disposal in terms of those documentary resources. And that's the craft of the historian. And that's something that, regardless of what the students are studying, all right, so the kids in these introductory seminars, most of them are not going to go on to be history majors. And the idea is not to cultivate them necessarily to be history majors, it's to teach them critical thinking skills that they can carry, and writing skills, so they can carry with them into whatever discipline they're in. And that's why I love teaching.
Yeah, thank you for that, Dr. Newsome. And
Thank you.
it's been a pleasure, honestly, getting to know you a little bit better and some insight of some of the very things you have some expertise in. So, we're in this virtual world now, but I look forward to getting to know you as much as I can too. MD, you had something you wanted to?
Oh, I was just going to say thank you, and I wish I could take your class.
Same. And I do want to thank everybody that came today. Like I mentioned before, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have this video on our YouTube channel. So for those that weren't able to see it live, so to speak, you'll be able to view on our YouTube channel and get to know my new Honors College Dean, Dr. Newsome. And hopefully you have more opportunities to get to know him a little bit more during his tenure here at Georgia College. Thank you, Dr. Newsome, again for being a part of this. I can't wait to see you tomorrow night and see what the special things happening with the Honors College and its 50-year commemoration.
Thank you, Trey. Thank you again for hosting this today. And thank you to everybody who came and participated for all the great questions. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. And as Trey said, I look forward to getting to know all of you more in the years to come.